Well, the Indian economy is slowing, and according to the Central Statistical Organization, the GDP will grow at 7% this fiscal compared to 7.2% in FY18. Meanwhile, GDP in the third quarter has come in at around 6.6%, which is also slightly lower than what was expected. Lata Venkatesh joins us with all those details. Lata?
Well, the key takeaway from these numbers is, of course, that the economy is slowing. Third quarter, only 6.6% compared to 7% second quarter and 8% in the first quarter. And what is worse, in the fourth quarter, the GDP probably will come around 6.4% or thereabouts. Only then you get a full year of 7%. So the first thing is that we are continuously slowing after quarter after quarter. What's clearly slowing is agriculture, coming in only at 2.7% in the third quarter. It was a very good 4% thereabouts in the previous quarters. Also manufacturing coming in at 6.7%. In the previous quarters, we had closer to 7.3% a year ago, as well as even in the first half. Services, the big category that we all look at is trade and hotels. And there, the pace seems to be similar, at about 6.9%, but clearly slower from year-ago levels. Now, in the fourth quarter, the expectation is that some bit of consumption might pick up because of election-related spending and the first tranche of the government's farm income going into at least some farmers. A second thing that will help is that the debt market is not as bad as the previous quarter, and therefore maybe some consumption will pick up by the time we come to March. And finally, the other important factor could be that the Reserve Bank will look at these numbers and could cut even further in April, because the growth numbers are clearly lower than even what the Reserve Bank had penciled in when it gave this cut. So slowing, but there is a bit of fiscal and monetary stimulus which could probably help the economy bottom out in maybe the second half of next year. That seems to be the expert opinion from economists. The slowing is not going to end this quarter, maybe not even next quarter, but somewhere down the line, second half of next year, we could see a pickup as the monetary and fiscal instruments take root.
Thanks a lot for that, Lata. Well, on that note, let's also hear out what experts and economists make of the growth slowdown.
Most of the high-frequency data suggesting a significant slowdown in the third quarter. And somewhere that slowdown is not stopping. We are expecting that slowdown to continue into the following quarter as well. And clearly, the tight financial conditions is expected to have a bearing. Talking about next year, yes, the fiscal and the monetary actions could be supportive of growth, but that would take some time before that transmission really happens. So the next few quarters look a little bleak. And of course, we're not getting any support from export sector as well, because the global slowdown is also pretty much pronounced now. So all in all, the next few months, maybe 1 or 2 more quarters, we would continue to see the slowdown before probably some kind of a revival can be expected.
I think that the GVA number for the Q3 has come in at 6.3%. So that means that we are actually hitting below 6.5%, and I'll not be surprised if the GDP growth is actually closer to the 6 to 6.5% range in the quarter 4. The January incremental credit growth is actually negative on the part of the scheduled commercial banks at 37,000 crore, and that has actually declined from 76,000 crore in December. So that clearly indicates that the January to March quarter will be significantly worse, and the credit growth to the NBFC sector on the part of the scheduled commercial banks is also negative. So therefore, the Q4 number will be much closer to 6% rather than to 6.5%.
Well, let's move on to the big national story then. In a bid to ease tension and as a goodwill gesture, Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan has said that the Indian Air Force pilot Wing Commander Abhinandan will be released today. Now, addressing a joint session of the Pakistani Parliament yesterday, Imran Khan said, and I quote, "In our desire of peace, I announce that tomorrow, as a first step to open negotiations, Pakistan will be releasing the Indian Air Force officer in our custody." End quote.
And meanwhile, in a joint briefing by the Armed Forces, Air Vice Marshal RGK Kapoor quashed Pakistan's claims of not firing missile towards military installation on Indian soil. He said that they had found remnants of Amram missiles fired by the Pakistan's F-16 fighter jets and displayed them before the cameras. The Armed Forces made it clear that Pakistan targeted military posts but did not manage to inflict any damage, and also made a categorical statement that they are ready for provocation from Pakistan. We also spoke to former diplomats and defense veterans to get a sense of how India should be reading into the latest move by Pakistan, and also how India should be dealing with Pakistan going forward. Hear out some opinion.
Military action will always coexist at different levels. Yes. So I will argue that probably with the release of Wing Commander Abhinandan, the military activity probably would go down maybe a notch, but that doesn't mean that in any way the Indian military can lower its guard. Sure. I would say that robust deterrence needs to continue, and I have, I have a punchline which says the radars must keep churning.
If our side finds that really there was no torture on Abhinandan, then we would know that yes, Pakistan military and Pakistan government, they are playing according to civilized rules. If it has not happened, then we'll continue to believe that any promises made by Pakistan to adhere to international conventions are only a face-saving device because of pressures from international community. So we'll have to just keep in mind that, in addition, yes, we should be prepared. We don't want to escalate the whole conflict. What we want, that terrorists should not think in terms of again attacking India anywhere. Yeah. So Pakistan needs to take action against credible action to control the terrorists within its soil.
It is still miles to go as far as JET's resolution plan is concerned. Sources tell CNBC TV 18 that the bailout plan is in the works, but the promoters, lenders are yet to reach consensus. Ritu Singh now joins us with the details. Hi Ritu, over to you.
What we've picked up from sources is that there is no consensus yet amongst the lenders of Jet Airways, or even between the lenders and Etihad and Jet promoters. As per the last meeting that was held very recently, we're given to understand that Etihad remains reluctant to take on a promoter role. Banks want Etihad to raise its stake to about 45% by participating in the rights issue, but that is not something that Etihad is comfortable with. But what is important is that Naresh Goyal has agreed to step down from the company, and he will not have any board control whatsoever. His stake after the restructuring is completed will fall to around 21 to 22%, and the lender's final stake in Jet Airways is likely to be around 30%, with the bulk of it, of course, being held by State Bank of India. These are the contours along which the discussions are being held. We also understand that lenders are looking to convert about $150 million of Jet's debt into investable instruments once restructuring is approved. But what is critical is that the airline does need immediate funding, and as Lata has reported, about $100 million is what Etihad has agreed to bring in, and once it does that, the lenders will also match it with a similar sum. But no consensus has been reached as far as the rights issue is concerned, and therefore discussions will continue over the next few days, especially in the first half of March, for all of the lenders to come to a conclusion, and for the Etihad promoters and the Jet promoters to also be on the same page.
Well, shifting focus to the pharma space, then Ekta Batra caught up with the G.V. Prasad of Dr. Reddy's and began by asking about the way forward with respect to the company's Duvada and Bachupalli facility. Let's listen in.
The Duvada plant has been cleared, and that is a result of the major transformation in manufacturing and quality that we achieved over the last 3 years. Of course, like I mentioned here, quality is a journey, and we have to keep at it and continue to improve our standards, practices, and people competencies.
Does that mean that maybe a lot of the site transfers that you were undertaking from Duvada is now probably going to go another direction now? You don't need to do that?
Well, whatever we did, we will produce in our partner sites, but we will try to improve the utilization of the facility, as it will improve our economics.
What about the Bachupalli facility?
Bachupalli, we are in the process of responding to the FDA's concerns, and we are in advanced stages of drafting a response and providing the information that they need.
And Srikakulam API?
So that facility is still not yet cleared, but we are addressing the concerns of the FDA. The FDA has a series of questions which we are answering.
Okay. FY19, are you expecting better growth coming in for the US based on what you are seeing in terms of trends, or is pricing pressure going to be a problem that you foresee?
The US continues to be a very competitive marketplace. I don't see that changing.
All right, then earnings season is over for all of us, but Anisha, as ABB India will be in focus today and company will be reporting its Q4 of calendar 2018 earnings. Anisha, what are we expecting in terms of numbers?
Oh, well, yes, some of these MNCs are late bloomers and they make us wait for the numbers till the end. So, yes, ABB's Q4 CY18 numbers will be announced today, and the expectation is that we are looking at a double-digit growth when it comes to the top line. So, the revenue is expected to come close to 3,100 odd crore rupees, while the margins are expected to remain stable at around 10.5%. Profit, however, might see a bit of jump of around 17% given the change in the product mix. Other factors to watch, well, the HVDC order that the company has been executing continues, and that's why we're working with a 13% growth on the top line. Other than that, the electrification, industrial automation, as well as robotic systems business of the company is expected to report strong growth. Margin, remember there was a high base last year, so there might be a bit of moderation, but the overall broad expectation is that the margins will remain stable. Now, apart from the numbers, what the street is keenly watching out for is the power grids unit of the company. Remember, in a global deal, ABB had sold off its power grids unit to Hitachi, and as a result, the company had announced that they're looking at a demerger of the power grids business and then seeing what happens of that. So, the street is waiting out if there's any special dividend announced on account of that deal, or whether this will be reported as a discontinued operation. We're watching out for the forex impact of it as well as the order inflows, because remember, the large orders continue to be slow and it is the small orders that continue to keep coming in. So the overall expectation is that order inflows might not see a big jump up but continues to remain steady. Back to you.
Okay, all right, Anisha, thanks so much for that.